Hello BookTube. I thought I'd take the opportunity to film outside on this glorious spring day. It's late afternoon, but it's still lovely outside. There's not a breath of wind, not a cloud in the sky, and although I should really be holding thumbs for a downpour, thunder showers, you name it, as we're in the middle of one of the worst droughts in recorded history, it's still really nice to sit outside here in the sunshine, well, what's left of the sunshine. Anyway, to get back to the point of this video, I'm going to be talking about Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare, which I must admit seems to be one of the most appropriate titles I have ever read, because there was a lot of to-do about absolutely nothing. As I've said in the past, I really struggle to find something important to say about a comedy or anything light-hearted. Anyway, we have Leonardo, who has his friend Don Pedro, who is less preferable than the alcoholic caffeinated drink, returning from battle and coming to his house to visit. Along with him comes Claudio, the young heartthrob in the story, Benedict, the other young heartthrob in the story, and Don John, not to be confused with Don Juan, as he seems to want to ruin love affairs. So Claudio sees Hero, who is Leonardo's, sorry, I'm just looking at the puppies there, who is Leonardo's daughter, and he falls heavily in love with her, and he decides that he would like to marry her. We have Beatrice, who seems to have an ongoing sparring competition, well, verbal sparring competition with Benedict. Both of them swear that they are never ever going to get married, love is for the birds, and that they hate each other. So after having watched thousands of sitcoms purely out of being forced, we know where this is going to go. So what made it interesting was that Don John, for no reason whatsoever, decided that he was going to wreck this whole story. He, after Claudio managed to convince Leonardo, because obviously it wasn't really Hero's choice, that they would get married, Don John decides that what he is going to do is screw up everything. So after the first attempt, which was to try and convince Claudio that Don Pedro had managed to win Hero's hand, after that little to-do was cleared up, he then arranged for Hero's maid, whose name I can't remember right now, to go and speak to his guy outside her window at night with the maid dressed in Hero's clothes, so that it would look like she is an impure lady. So Claudio then finds out about all of this. He is informed. He decides that he is going to dishonor her at the wedding, which he does. He declares her basically a whore, and Hero faints, because what was a lady to do in those days but just accept it? So yeah, that was pretty much the story. Obviously everything gets cleared up, and Hero ends up getting married to her Claudio, and Beatrice and Benedict end up getting married. Everybody's happily ever after, except, ladies, would you be happy to marry a guy who publicly defamed you for being a whore just because he learned the truth? I would not have been able to do it. It says a lot for the times as to just how limited women's say in their own futures were. The fact that it was so important to get married, or else there was nothing for your life. Similarly with Beatrice, I mean, nobody was happy with the idea of her not being married. I mean, how dare you be a maid? And yeah, and the other thing that I just needed to mention was Don John. I mean, he really was not a very pleasant character, but you don't get much time in his head to see what he is like. I hope the puppies are not going to make me refilm this for the millionth time. And but one thing that I do have to mention is the concept of the bastard, how he would have suffered his entire life, being punished for something that he had absolutely no control over. It was what his parents had done. So yeah, it was an interesting story. It was light-hearted. The language, once again, was fun. This banter between Beatrice and Benedict was okay as well. I quite enjoyed some of it, although by the end I was getting a bit frustrated. I can't say that this was my favorite Shakespearean play, but it's another one down. I know I had read it before, but I remembered absolutely nothing. But anyway, That's it, BookTube. Bye.